Hello, and I want to welcome you back to part 2 of 6.6. This deals with inequalities. For this, we're going to finish up these examples on graphing, and then we're going to look at an application or word problem. Okay, with number 4, we actually see that there is a negative n for the coefficient of the x. So that we have negative 5x is less than 15. So we had to use the properties to divide by negative 5 on both sides to get x by itself, and we see that this just goes to 1, leaving you with x. And what happens when you divide by a negative on both sides of the inequality? It actually flips the sign of the inequality. So instead of less than, we have now greater than. 15 divided by negative 5, well, 15 divided by negative 5 is just negative 3. So since the x is located on the left side of the inequality, we can think of it as an arrow. Notice our inequalities sign. Okay, and find negative 3 on the graph, and notice there's no equal to, so we just have a empty circle. Now, using our arrow, we can color in on the graph what values make that statement true. With number 5 now, we see it's getting a bit more complex. So we have negative 7 is less than the quantity x plus 1, which is greater than 3. To get x by itself, we actually need to subtract 1 on every piece of the inequality. So for this first part, negative 7 minus 1 is negative 8. Bring down our inequality because there was no division of a negative number. And that's just going to leave us with x because that 1 minus 1 is just 0, leaving us with the x there. Bring down our inequality for this next set, and 3 minus 1 is just 2. Since there are no equal to's found, we just put open circles on negative 8 and 2. Alright, so let's break down our inequality. Negative 8 is less than x, which is greater than 2. For our first part here, x is on the left side, so that just makes the inequality x is greater than 2. For the next part here, negative 8 is greater than x. We actually want the x to be on the left side to tell us which direction to color in. So when we do that, we bring the x on the other side and we have to flip the sign of the inequality. So here are two pieces of the inequality we have to work with. For this first piece, x is greater than 2. So we're using our arrow. We color in everything to the right of 2. With x is greater than 8, negative 8, excuse me, we have also going in this direction as well. So it's actually, except it will not cover in that dot. Make sure that your graph looks like this one on the screen. Okay, looking at something a bit more complex now. We have negative 4 is greater than the quantity 2x minus 2 is less than 6. So to start working, we have to get rid of everything to get that x by itself. So to do that, we have to add 2 on both sides to get that subtracting 2 away. Bringing down all of our inequalities, because we did not deal with any division or anything that may mess up with what we're working with, we can just bring the 2x in the center down. Working on this left side of the inequality, negative 4 plus 2 is just negative 2, and on the right side we have 6 plus 2, which is 8. Now to get that variable by itself, we have to divide by 2 on both sides because 2 is being multiplied by x, and to get it away, we have to divide by it on both sides. So over here we have negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, is less than because we did not change the sign of the inequality due to no division of negative numbers. Bring down just our x because the 2 divided by 2 is just 1x. And rewrite our inequality of this right side because we did not deal with any division of negative numbers. And finally, 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now let's break down our inequality of x is less than 4. That's where we're going to use the graph. And we have negative 1 is greater than x. And to change that position, just write x on the left side and change the direction of the inequality. Since there are no equal to's found, we'll just put empty circles on negative 1 and 4. Okay, so using our directions for negative 1, we see that the arrow is pointing that direction, and for the x is less than 4, it is pointing in this direction as well. So we're going to color everything on this number line between the two empty circles except the empty circles, and then everything after the empty circles. And finally, example 7, we have negative 9 is greater than the quantity negative 3x plus 6, all that divided by 2, is less than 6. So if we work with this kind of example, we have to multiply it by 2 on both sides to get this top, start getting stuff away from the variable. So multiply by 2 on both sides. Negative 9 times 2 is a negative 18. We did not do anything with negative numbers, so keep our inequalities as they were. Doing the multiplication of 2 times that fraction of 2 will just leave us with what's on top, with negative 6 or negative 3x plus 6, and then our inequality will stay the same, and then 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, now to start getting stuff away from the variable, we need to subtract 6 on both sides. Okay, on this side, that's going to leave us with a negative 24. And I don't know how that divisions, or that equal to sign got there, but it should not be there. So just bring your inequality, bring it on down. We have negative 3x left because the positive 6 minus 6 left us with just the negative 3x, which is greater than 12 minus 6, which is 6. Now our final step will be to get that x by itself by dividing by negative 3 on all sides of the inequality. And of course this will just go to 1x. Now what's going to happen to our inequality symbols? Well, they're going to change position because we divided by a negative. Okay, over here on this side, negative 24 divided by a negative 3. Negative divided by a negative is a positive, and we are just left with 24 divided by 3, or just 8. And on the other side, 6 divided by negative 3. A positive divided by a negative is a negative, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So now if we break our inequality apart, we have x is greater than negative 2, and we have 8 is less than x. Now to make the x go on the left side, all we have to do is change the position of the inequality. So if we go back up to our graph, we have that x is less than negative 2, and we have that x is greater than 8. Since there are no equal to's found in this, we can just put open circles around negative 2 and 8. And using our directions for this, the negative 2, we're going to color in everything to the left of the open circle, because that's what our arrow told us to do. And looking at x is greater than 8, we're going to color in everything to the right of the open circle, because that's the way the arrow told us to work. Alrighty, and the last part of this video, we're going to look at an application problem. A student must have an average, the mean, on 5 exams that is greater than or equal to 80% but less than 90% to receive a final grade of B. Devin's grades on the first 4 exams were 99%, 78%, 84%, and 90%. What range of grades on the 5th test would give him a B in the class? Okay, so average, if you haven't studied it already, we have to add everything together and then divide by the number of things that we added. So for this, we're going to have an average is equal to all these test grades. So we have 99 plus 78 plus 84 plus 90 plus x. And if you count the number of things that we added by, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to divide by 5. Okay, and he wants to have a B. So he has to have somewhere between an 80 and a 90 to make in that range. And he has to make greater than or equal to. He has to at least make an 80, so he has that equal to. And that includes the 80. It can be anything greater than the 80. And for the 90, he wants to make something that's about an 89.4. So it cannot include the 90, but it has to be less than the 90. And what we want to put here in the center between the two pieces of inequalities are actually this, what we just wrote right here. So we'll write the 99 plus 78 plus 84 plus 90 plus x, all that divided by 5. So the next thing to do, I would like to add all these pieces together right here. And when we do that, we're going to get 80 is less than or equal to the piece of 351 plus x, all that divided by 5, is less than 90. Now to start getting things away from the x, let's multiply by 5 on all sides of the inequality. And that's going to free the 351 plus x. So 5 times 80 is 400. Bring down our inequality. So we have 400 is less than or equal to 351 plus x is less than 5 times 90, or 450. Okay, now what I'd like to do is subtract 351 on all sides to free x. Sorry about that. So we're subtracting 351 on all sides of the inequalities. And 400 minus 351 is 49. And it has to be less than or equal to, and that's just going to go to 0, of x, which is less than 450 minus 351, or 99. So it looks like this student Devin needs to make somewhere between a 49 to a 99 to make a B in the class. To make a B, Devin needs to make between a 49% and 99% on next test.